What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. Number 6, the Phoenix Suns. For me.
Sure. Yeah.
It's funny. I am lower on the Mavs trade deadline moves than you are, in the sense that, like, I don't necessarily, I guess you haven't actually said anything about their deadline moves, but I thought Phoenix's deadline moves were smart because they actually brought players into the equation that I could see playing significant roles. For instance, like, I think there's a case.
One player?
Well, so I think there's a universe where a KD at center lineup could have Royce O'Neal and Thaddeus Young, although he was more of a buyout. It was a buyout, but like,
no, he was a buyout,
but still,
yeah.
like, I could see, like, to me, Royce O'Neal is probably in their closing 5, which is what makes, like, whereas with the Mavs, it's like, I would probably rather have,
We'll talk about the Mavs.
Yeah, it gets a little bit tougher. So, like, I it's interesting because they were the two teams that I thought behaved most desperately at the deadline in terms of, like, going to make these, like, moves on the margins. 400.
No, and behind the scenes, Phoenix was, like, really aggressive, trying to find a lot of options for
440 minutes of Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant this year. 125 offensive rating, 113 defensive rating. They've held up well enough on the glass for it not to be a problem. I like the KD at center look for specific kind of like a curveball for a short stretch. I actually thought it was smart for them to go away from it against Sacramento when they won last week. I like what I'm seeing from Phoenix overall. I do get concerned, though, not to bring up the injury thing, but, like, Beal and Booker are both susceptible to these, like, soft tissue injuries, which always freak me out a little bit because, like, I think they need to be really humming on offense when they get to the postseason for this to work. And rhythm is going to be a huge part of that. And, like, Beal just went down with another hammy. And so I do get concerned about him getting back and actually getting into rhythm in time for it to matter, because things really took off for the Suns this year when Beal was consistently in the lineup. And so I do believe in that group. I actually think they're just a much better version of last year's Suns team. It's just, I'm concerned about whether or not they'll be in rhythm at the right time. Where do you have Phoenix at?
I had Phoenix at 8, largely because of the injury question. Beal's continued health is concerning. Kevin Durant has a history of soft tissue injuries at this point that needs to be accounted for on some level. And Jusuf Nurkic has played at most 56 games in the previous 4 seasons. He is currently at 52. We will see if he can stay healthy for the whole way. I think Nurkic has been an utterly, like, he has to be out there for 30 minutes plus for them, or else it gets really, really hard for them. I agree with you in terms of the KD closing at the 5 lineups from time to time can be really valuable. But in the Western Conference, where you have to deal with Karl Towns, Rudy Gobert combination in the front court, you have to deal with Nikola Jokic in the front court. I think that it's going to be very difficult for them to not have Nurkic on the court. I mean, how would you even feel about a Lakers series against the Suns if they tried to go small with KD against, like, Anthony Davis at the 5? Like, I think that's probably a bad idea for the Suns, because I think it'd be putting too much onto KD's shoulders just physically in terms of wear and tear over the course of a full series, in my opinion. So I really think Nurkic is essential, and I worry about his health a little bit. Beal, as you mentioned, continues to go down here and there with injuries. They've only played 440 minutes together this season. And yet, when they have been playing together, they have been phenomenal this year. Like, those lineups are fantastic. Grayson Allen this year, Grayson Allen is shooting 51, 48, 89 this season. Grayson Allen is going to get so much money this offseason that like, he's the guy that people keep not bringing up in free agency as, like, an option for some of these teams. Grayson Allen is having, like, the best, like, walk year marginally compared to, like, where everybody else was entering the season compared to where they are now in the NBA. Like he's averaging 13 points a game on 51, 48, 89 in a role where they desperately need him night after night after night to perform and succeed. Okay, let's talk about the questions here. Like their closing lineup, it sounds like you think is Booker, KD, Beal, Grayson Allen, and Royce O'Neal, or Nurkic, depending on the matchup for Royce or Grayson.
Yeah, I think I'd go with Royce instead of Eric Gordon in their small ball lineups. I think that I think they will have bigger looks where they go Royce instead of Grayson too. I agree. Yusuf Nurkic, for as much as he gets criticized for his defense, like he's had some moments this year. Like I thought he was awesome down the stretch against Sacramento the other night. Had like several huge plays. He's one of those guys kind of like Jokic, where like when he's really active with his hands, especially like on the ball handler, like when he's not sitting back passively, but rather more aggressive, he can actually be pretty impactful because he's a smart player. I actually get more concerned about him against like, you know why I think he's such a bad matchup against the Lakers is like LeBron can run pick and roll against him. Whereas so many other teams can switch it. Like, he can get downhill against him.
He can't play against the Thunder, like point blank. Like the Thunder would just like completely cause all sorts of issues for him in space over the course of a 7-game series. But, you know, do you think that the KD, Booker, Beal combination is just good enough to beat the Thunder? Like, I think that's a completely reasonable opinion because they actually can go to the KD at the 5 lineup against the Thunder and not get blitzed on the defensive glass. So it's the Suns are interesting. The Suns are a team that I've really come to enjoy when they've been fully healthy this season. I had the Suns below the Mavs and the Timberwolves at this point.
And then also the Thunder, I'm assuming, right?
I'm realizing I have the Thunder, or I have the Suns at 7.
Suns at 7. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.